I like this.
Right?
Yeah, man. So I actually appreciate your time because I know it's hard to get. I don't know, people on the same level of actually like the schedules, especially with podcasts.
Yeah, man.
It's hard because there's a lot of rescheduling. There's a lot of just, I guess, running around. I guess is the good way to put it. You know what I'm saying?
It's because a lot of us are juggling 2 separate lives, really, right? Maybe even 3.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man.
That plays a huge part in it all. Because if we get paid to do this and sit down, would we do something else? And probably not.
No. Yeah. You're like, why don't you come over? I get paid to do this. I don't really need to go nowhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be hustling a 9 to 5 myself if I could get paid from FinallyTV.
Hell yeah. I mean,
that's the end goal, but.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you look at Joe Rogan right now, Joe Rogan. All he has to do is talk, have a good time, do all this other stuff, right? But then just from his, what does he have on it? Mm-hmm. Just from that and his T-shirts that he sells, man, he's making everything back. Yeah. And all he's doing is having great conversations. Right. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
But I was intrigued when I saw yours, because you have. Number one, your logo, and I'm gonna start down the rabbit hole first, and then come back up because usually we don't start that way, right? But because you usually have a segue or something. I'm fuck the segue, okay? But you have a logo that catches attention, and that's what caught my attention first. And then I started looking at your stuff, and you have a lot of artists from around the area that are up and coming, and that you catch them before it happens. Right. That's what I like, man. Right. A lot of people want people when they're big. Right. You caught the right direction. Right. That's what makes you stand out. Right. Where did FinallyTV come from?
A lot of trial and error, trying to do other things. Honestly, like we were just talking before about how, a lot of the equipment I use for FinallyTV is from other facets of my life that are, that I tried or took, a little joy in doing, whether it was recording music or, liking the fact of, being on camera and things. So I had like a camcorder to mess with and my little GoPro and this and that, you know what I mean? Yeah. I really wanted to be an artist. For all the people that actually know me around here, there's people to this day, man, that only know me as K.O., you know what I mean? And that was like me for a long time. K.O. was this alternate personality of mine that just wanted to rap, and I didn't want to just rap a story. I competitively wanted to rap. I wanted to, throw bars at somebody that would literally hurt their feelings, you know what I mean? And make them feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not good enough. That's the way I wanted to rap, No doubt. And, and that came from a lot of influences early on. So that said, I wanted to be a rapper, man. I was like, 18, 19, 20, and I wanted to do this, and the problem was that I didn't know how, I saw what I was seeing on TV. I'm reading what I'm reading in the source and the XXLs and all that. But I don't know how to do this. I'm in upstate New York. The rap scene up here is different. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, it is.
So, while I thought at the time, I guess I'm paving the way, I really had no idea, and it, to no surprise, it kind of fizzled out my quote unquote career, and it came to a point, it was like, when a rapper, am I going to, pay these bills and move out of my parents' house, Yeah. And obviously I chose to go to work and get out of my parents' house and have my own life and everything. And I put music on the back burner. And fast forward many years later, I'm doing a lot of event hosting. And I'm seeing people, and people are seeing me on the microphone, and I'm getting a lot of compliments. Like people, or not even compliments, but just comments. People coming up to me, oh, how do you do that on the microphone? Like, how do you talk to these, so many people, and how do you get them to do what you want? And it's like, I'm listening to stuff, I'm like, I'm just being me. You know what I mean, man? Yeah. And all of a sudden, one day this dude comes up to me, I'm working this wedding, and he's like, bro, how do you do that, man? How do you get them to listen to you. Like, you captivate them right off the bat. And I kind of took that with me, and I said, well, why? What's up? You know, and he was like, well, I sing, you know, and I play the guitar. You know, it's good looking kid. Shout out Joe Pizzella, my boy out there, you know.
Okay.
But, you know, he's like, you know, I play the guitar and I sing. And he's like, but like, man, I just feel like they're not listening to me, you know. So like, what do? You know what I mean? And I started talking to him about confidence and really owning what you're doing and not really worrying about if they're listening to you or not. You know what I mean? Just push forward.
Yeah.
And literally, man, on the way home, after, you know, months and months of thinking about something I could do on YouTube, it hit me. And I was like, man, that's what I could do. I could be like the voice of this area, and like, just to be like, hey, listen. This kid sings, man. Why don't you listen to him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And on the way home, I literally thought of it. And I'm like, finally, somebody gives a shit. FinallyTV. You know?
Finally.
And boom. So finally, you know, at first I was saying, you know, finally somebody cares is what I was really thinking to myself. You know what I mean? And in all sincerity, I think I'm coming off that way. Like, yo, this guy really, like, cares about this little area called 845 in the Hudson Valley, and he actually is standing up for it, you know.
Yeah.
So no, that's where FinallyTV came from. My failures, and then me not being happy with that and needing to fulfill that dream somehow, some way of doing something on a microphone other than, you know, hosting events and doing weddings and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And if you need a great MC, here I am, Gabriel Rivera, look me up. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah, I got you. You know what I mean? MSV, Music Speaks Volumes. If you need a wedding DJ, you know, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. But that's where it came from, man. FinallyTV, that's where it was born from.
That's dope, man. Yeah. And I'm probably gonna need an artist soon. So I make a couple beats here and there and stuff like that. So it's always that's just a stress reliever. Yeah. To be honest with you, you know. Yeah. What did you want to be when you thought of the first time thinking of moving forward in life? That first grade question that everybody always asks you as a teacher, they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What was that answer? I
think early on it was probably veterinarian.
Veterinarian?
Yeah.
So how many pets do you have? That's the second question now.
Right now, currently I have 2. I got a dog and I got like an 8-foot boa. Shout out Squeeze. But yeah, I've had many pets over the years. I'm a big animal guy.
That's cool.
Big time animal guy, animal lover. I wouldn't say activist because I'm not actively out there, you know, pursuing their rights and stuff. But I do commend all that do, and I do, you know, throw money at that when I can.
That's cool.
You know, but yeah, I'm the guy that, you know, if I walk by and I see you smack your little brother in the head, I'll probably just keep going. But if I walk by and I see you hitting a dog, I'm probably going to stop. You know?
We got some issues.
Yeah, we need to talk about this. Can we talk about this? You know? What kind of training do you need? You know?
What happened to you as a child?
Yeah, right.
Like that you have to hit a dog. Nah, there's I get that too because it's because a dog can't speak back, you think that you have the upper hand alpha on it. Yeah. And it's like, we do have the alpha on it because when we do have the training sessions as they first come into the home, we need to realize that, okay, the dog can't run the house, we need to. But at the same point, that dog is going to be your loyal best friend. Right. 100%. Right. And you'll find out how loyal a dog really, really is if something bad is happening to you in some way, some form, even goes with cats and other animals, it is going to try and protect you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, and really they feel that emotion too, right? Because, you know, like take my little microcosm of a life and, you know, shout out Angie, co-producer, FinallyTV, and Hazel, the mascot of FinallyTV. You know, Angie came home sad one day, you know, and we're having our little talk that we always have when she comes home, you know, even if it's just 20 seconds of, hey, how'd everything go, you know, and, you know, went into a checkup on her and she was feeling sad and, you know, she kind of let it out. She's been going through a lot. And, you know, within 2 tears, man, here comes Hazel, walks up on her, no extra energy like she always does, but walks right up on her, boom, just licking her face up.
I got you.
You know, I got you. You know, mommy, don't cry. I got this. You know what I mean? And it was like, for me to see that, because like, I didn't ask her to come over. You know, like, we weren't talking about her. We didn't mention her. But she just felt that energy and came over and felt the need to console my wife, you know. And it's like, it's heart touching to me, you know. Like,
absolutely.
And that stuff to me, like, it's like, how could you be, you know, ill-mannered or have any, like, ill will towards an animal like that, man, where if you just show them love, they give you so much back, you know, tenfold. It's amazing to me, you know. But yeah, man, no, animals is where it's at for me. But veterinarian, to get back to your original question.
No, I'm gonna stay down. I'm gonna stay down that tunnel. Yeah. What's your favorite animal?
I'm gonna say besides dogs, because to me, there's something about dogs in me. I almost consider myself almost like a dog whisperer, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
A little bit, you know what I mean? But I'm a big fan of reptiles.
Cool.
You know, big fan of reptiles. And I would say, you know, no disrespect to Squeeze upstairs, it is a boa, but the Brazilian rainbow boa is probably my favorite animal.
Explain this.
It's a boa that lives in South America.
Okay.
It's kind of like a purplish, reddish, maroon, and black and pink with almost like a blue sheen over it.
So basically, a unicorn threw up on this thing. All right, no doubt.
Yeah, basically, that's what happened. This snake is amazing, though, man. They don't get very large like the regular, you know, Colombian boa that you might see from time to time in the pet stores. Well, not anymore, but you know what I mean. And beautiful snake, though, man. Beautiful snake. It's just. For me, I love it because I think a lot of people look at snakes and they go ill, and they people still to this day think they're slimy. I think that's funny, you know. But then you see this majestic looking, like you said, looks like a unicorn, like pooped on it, like the way its colors are so vibrant. And even the most, you know, the person who's most scared of reptiles and snakes would look at it and be like, it's pretty color though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you got some sort of attention to it there.
Exactly. But beautiful. But that would probably be my favorite animal right now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got a so I was drawn to, which I still haven't actually seen one or got to interact with one in person, but I found out information on elephants, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And one, probably about 7 to 10 years ago, there was a woman that was working at the golf course up in this area, and she had said that she goes on a lot of elephant retreats over, I believe, in Africa, that they're just killing them for the tusks and all that stuff. And she had said that it was crazy. It was crazy because right in that realm, that small timing realm of me, like just talking to her, right before that I had watched something on 60 Minutes about elephants. Elephants can communicate from 5 kilometers away.
Vast distance, yeah.
Yeah, in such a low rumble that the human ear can't detect it. Almost like that high-pitched sound that a dog would be like, fuck, that hurts my ears. We don't really hear that.
I have no idea, right?
And it's more warning for poachers, like they're coming. You know what I mean? So they'll scatter.
Yeah.
Or I think the greatest thing is that elephants understand what death is.
Yeah.
And they line up in a single file after one has passed away, in single file for 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 days, and their trunks touch the carcass as they walk by. That is extremely detailed.
Yeah.
Like that's.
It's like a tradition that they all know and do. Their sense of community is crazy too, and I know it's like that with a lot of animals where they have a really hierarchy, like in the community itself, you know, and these elephants have that too. What's amazing to me is just, you know, and it's kind of simple, but the gentle giant. Right?
Yeah.
The power that these things can really have, and they're herbivores. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that's the crazy part too. You know? But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Elephants, and it is so sad about how they get, you know, basically jumped, right? Because no one single man is going to take down, you know, they're getting jumped, they're getting fought unfairly, right?
Yeah.
It's the only way they're getting taken down like that, you know? And it's like, damn, if they were ever to turn around and say, you know what, I'm not feeling humans today.
Yeah, you know? I'm just feeling a certain way today on this Wednesday.
So I think me and 10 of my friends, we're gonna go take care of this village, and bro, they could do it.
They literally can stomp out a village.
Yeah,
it's just like you.
I mean, easily, and if they were, and I don't want to get into all this, but like if they were to team up and got the rhinos and the crocodiles and the cheetahs, like. I gotta do something real quick. Hold on.
Jumanji.
Yeah, Jumanji. Exactly.
That's cool though. No, I get that though. That's it's actually one of those things where I always thought about the actual, like, I believe that they can communicate in their own ways too. Yes. You know what I mean? Like I believe a rhino can somehow connect to an elephant, and then they can somehow connect to other animals, because if you think about it on a different level, there is so much going on when just a tsunami comes through. Because there's a story about a tsunami that came through within a different, I forget exactly what country it was, but the tsunami came through, and right before the tsunami came through, 10 minutes, the elephant freaked out, it jumped up, and the person on the back of the elephant went flying. Right. It broke the chains that it's supposed to be, you know what I mean, trained to, right? And it started heading up hills.
Okay, going for high ground.
Yeah. Before that, it started grabbing people and throwing them up north, like near the trunk area. Right. And I'm like, I'm watching this video. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me right now.
Right.
And 10 minutes later, you see all of the animals, even predators with prey, they're all in the same fucking area, and this thing comes through and washes out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, that's nuts, man. Yeah. To have that kind of mindset that it's like, we know this is gonna happen.
Right. I believe what you were saying too about, them being animals, being able to communicate on a different level than we're able to actually understand, because just like recently with that, there was a photo on Facebook, and it was like elephants walking, like crossing a street, and there's like a lady lioness like walking with it, and at first like you look at it and it just looks like an elephant walking alongside of a lion, right? But then you read the caption, and the caption's something like, you should be willing to help others when you can. And when you really look at it, the elephant is cradling a baby cub. And what happened was the cub became so ill and sick in the desert walking across it that the mom had given up walking because she couldn't walk with the cub too.
Wow.
The elephant scooped up the cub, and they continued on their way. So now you're gonna tell me that these animals didn't communicate that,
right?
You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy.
So there was a sense of understanding there. You know what I mean? That maybe a lot of humans aren't compassionate enough to realize, but there was a lot of compassion happening right there.
Hell yeah!
You know what I mean?
Same thing about the duck up in the north. I think it was, I want to say Wisconsin, but it was up north. It was last year. The duck found a puppy, and the duck, it was in the middle of the street, or the sidewalk. It covered the fucking puppy with its feathers,
I peeped that too.
Yeah,
I seen that too.
It's like they understand survival.
Yeah.
I mean, how well do we understand survival?
I don't think we do. I think that's why you have survivalists, right? Who think the regular folk like me are just out of our minds because we can't live off the land. We wouldn't know what to do without our cell phones and things of that nature. So technology and our intelligence has definitely hindered our ability to survive the way I think we were intended to.
Yeah.
Early on, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
What's crazy too is thinking about what we're doing, right? Podcasting and TVs and all this stuff, right? The radio waves have only been around for what, 70, 80 years, so something like that. You know what I mean? We're still in like the infancy of all this stuff.
Still newbies.
You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think like the wheel. If you compare radio to the wheel, we're way behind right now. You know what I mean?
We're fucking up, guys. We should be somewhere else here.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, so. But no, to answer your question, no, I don't think we're not built to survive. We're built to adapt. You know, which I think is an ability all in itself. You know, but if you were gonna get real with it and say, okay, take power away, you know, which would shut down cell phones and computers, the internet, and all that. You know, where are you at? Where are you at now? You know, what are you gonna eat? Because you've been eating processed foods for a long time. So do you know what to go outside and pick? You know, do you know what's safe outside to eat right now that you don't have to cook? You know,
and for people like listening, just on that realm, I would challenge anybody right now to cut off any fast food and go straight organic. Now, I'm not even saying organic from the store, because even that shit is tainted.
You're right.
Okay?
Sure.
Grow something and eat just that. Your gut bile is like a second brain.
Yeah.
Okay? When you start to eat actual good, nutritious food, it is going to want that more, and then want it more, and then want it more. But the only thing is, your body has been through so much bullshit that you're going to go through withdrawal of the garbage food.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, like, and people don't understand that, because I ate garbage for a while. Now, a lot of my friends always tell me, they're like, dude, you can eat, like, I had 19 tacos last week in one sitting, okay? But it was all bib lettuce. It was all protein, shrimp, peppers, all this stuff, right? Stuff that's really good for you, you know what I mean? So, of course I could take it down. There's no carbs, there's no nothing.
Right.
If I was to have McDonald's every day, right? They ask me all the time, how do you do it? It's like, well, I just eat right during the week.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can take all of that stuff in.
Sure.
If I ate McDonald's all the time, it'd be a different story.
Right.
Then
you might be sitting and you're still 2 weeks later.
Yeah, man, it's different. Like, what did they do with the McDonald's thing years ago? They took it. They wanted to see how long it would last, right?
Oh, yeah, like the fries in the 30 days and how they didn't change or nothing. Yeah.
Dude, I got my chiropractor.
Yeah.
He still has it in there from 1997.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's no mold on it.
Yeah.
You're putting that inside your body.
Yeah, I know.
That is disgusting. Your body's not made to break that down.
Yeah.
It
And
can't.
I'm not better than anybody. I've been there. I've eaten it. You know,
course,
so
me
I'm not saying anything. But yeah, no, I know. I try to eat less and less of that as I get older. You know, because God knows I'm getting older. Oh, that whole story about me rapping and stuff. You know, that's 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, like.
No, I get you, man. I mean, you know what the thing is though? I would love to see if we did go off the grid. We did lose power, and we did like. It's like, all right. I'll give everybody a briefing, just maybe 1 minute explanation of what would happen. You wouldn't have anything that works. And by the time you think that, okay, we could use batteries, after a while, there won't be any more batteries.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you would have to go back to gardening every day, make sure everything is planted, making sure the harvest actually goes through the full seasons. You actually have to use the frost from the winter to make sure you re-energize the dirt. There's so much that you can go through, you know? And let's not forget, you have to kill something once or twice that week to make sure that you are covered for the next week or two.
If you want to eat meat.
Yeah.
If you want to eat meat.
If you want to eat meat.
Right. If you want to eat
My ass is eating meat, bro. Like, no offense against anybody else. I'm a meat eater.
Yeah, no, I get it. I recently stumbled upon some very interesting takes on, you know, being a vegetarian versus vegan versus just, you know, omnivore type deal, you know. And you know, it's an ill breakdown when you look at, you know, hey, you know, could you bite into a raw piece of chicken and be okay? No. You know?
Yeah.
Why are you cooking it and then eating it?
Good call.
Right.
I like it. Never thought about that. Yeah,
Right.
that's cool.
Why? You know, sushi a little different, right? Like seafood a little different.
They serve it to you as.
Yeah, they serve it to you. You could eat it raw. There's some seafood that you could just eat raw.
Yeah.
You could eat. There's beef that you could eat. Basically, tartare is raw steak, right?
Yeah.
But you cannot do that with chicken.
Salmonella.
You know.
Huh.
You know, you got to cook the poison out of it.
Gabriel, you have my undivided attention, sir.
But no, it's just it was very interesting to me too, man. When I thought of all that,
No, we did.
You you know, when I seen that, I was like, wow, you know, I never really thought of it like that. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I just ate a grilled chicken wrap like 20 minutes ago, so don't think that it changed my life. But it was very interesting and food for thought, you know, to think of it that way.
Yeah.
You know, even like pork and stuff, you know, and you're talking about things, you know, staying good for 30 days and even 30 years, right? Leave pork out for like a day and to see the stuff that will start. It's pretty gross, and I'm Puerto Rican. I love pork.
Right.
You know, but you will see maggots on this meat if leave it out. Leave it out with a little Coke on it and forget about it. I mean, Coca-Cola, everybody calm down. Put a little Coca-Cola on a piece of pork and just leave it there for a couple of days and see how that thing looks. You know, and me, Puerto Rican, Boricua, shout out, I would take the same exact piece of meat on the other side and put it in a fryer and eat it, call it a, you know, pork chop, you know. Yeah. But anyway, that's another story.
No, you're good, man. Sometimes I gotta, you know, my nickname is San Juan in a Puerto Rican household, so you wouldn't see it, but I, you know. Shout out to Phoenix, man.
Yeah.
Grew up. He's a producer himself. He actually grew up the hill from me.
Okay.
So it's a lot of good memories. So
yeah, that's dope.
I want to shift over to another questioning era.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
Era. Mm-hmm. Interviewing.
Mm-hmm.
When did you... So after a certain exchange of words with people, you know what I mean? Knowing that you actually had somewhat of a gift of, like, you know what, you do gain control of an audience. You do know how to roll with it. You understand how to push it forward, you know, which is a great... amazing talent to have. It's and if you don't have it, you have to learn it. You know what I mean?
Right.
What is one of the hardest things that you've realized in interviewing can be an issue?
I think one of the, and I learned this the hard way, I think not doing your due diligence on who you're interviewing.
Right.
Is probably one of the biggest mistakes because, you know, early on I wanted everybody on FinallyTV. Let's do it. Let's grow this thing. We're together. Let's go. You know, and so I was letting and having whoever wanted to be on the show be on the show. Like, yeah, let's talk about it. You know, and I realized that not everybody has a story to tell. You know what I mean? And not everybody is as established in their early career as they think they are, you know, and wanting to come on a show like mine and talk about your music, but you've never performed live before? Okay, so where can people find your album? Well, I got a couple freestyles out, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, I'm gonna have to push this situation a little bit differently right now because you haven't done anything, you know. And that was probably the learning curve for me was, you know, everybody's welcome, you know what I mean, but if you guys, and when I say you guys, I mean the community of the 845 and the Hudson Valley, if you guys want to have something where it's taken seriously, where you come on here and now all eyes on you, you know, then we're going to have to be a little choosy about who we're putting on this platform. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Because if I put anybody on, it becomes a little ho-hum and ordinary. You know what I mean? And it makes it seem like, one, he didn't really do his research. Why is he asking this person how many shows they've done and they're telling them on camera, I've never done these shows. You know what I mean? It made me feel a type of way. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, damn, man, like, I didn't see this coming, you know? So that's probably the biggest thing I've learned and was the hardest thing to realize until I was like, it was one of those things for me that it didn't click until I was in the situation and I'm like, damn, I should have, you know, why didn't I go listen to their stuff? And you know what I mean? So now, you know, I do a lot more due diligence. Like, I even do reverse. Like, I was checking your show out and checking some of your interviews out to figure out, like, well, what angles does he come from? Like, what is he talking about? You know, because I wanted to know. You know?
Right.
So it's like, I think that part of it is the biggest thing for me right now.
Yeah.
Due diligence leading up.
I get that too, man. Because you got to do research on who you really, I mean, allowing in. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just, I don't want to say it's like a friendship, but at another point, I allow people on my show because they have an interesting story. You have an interesting story.
Appreciate
This right here, this came from something. That's not
right.
You know what I mean? You don't just have that. Oh yeah, it looked kind of dope. Nah, there was a story behind it. You were spitting at one time.
Yeah.
I walk in, you have speakers, you have you got producing equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got everything. Okay, there's a story behind all of that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can walk into a place and feel a vibe. Okay?
Yeah.
If I walk in and I see that. Tell me why you got it, bro.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a story, and that can become just behind why.
Yeah. First off, I thought it did look dope. That's one of the reasons. But it was where I found it, and you'll never believe where I found this. And I found it for $20. Burlington Coat Factory had that.
Shout outs to Burlington motherfucking Coat Factory.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, they have some of the greatest shit. Hidden greatest shit.
It was the only one there.
Yeah.
It was behind a bunch of stuff, and I was like, wow. And that right there it reminds me of an 8th grade talent show that I did. And it was me and my boy and 3 girls.
Oh, it hit hard.
You know, and I was like, man, and one of the girls was a DJ, and she still is to this day, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Shout out Sonora. But it's reminded me so much of this 8th grade talent show that we had. It was on a stage just like that. We had a bunch of people there. The auditorium was packed.
Yeah.
And nobody thought we were going to do anything special, and we took 2nd place.
Word, that's awesome, man.
And so that reminded me of that. And I think this is me, you know? Like,
well said.
Big ears and a beard, you know what I mean? That's me, you know?
Actually, he's got the cut right, too.
You know, that's Danielle, you know what I'm saying? The other chick, my man Jamal, you know? And there was another girl, you know? But yeah, that's why. But that, to me, this illustrates hip-hop, this painting right here. Like, to me, I look at that and I just say hip-hop, you know? And I think it's hard for anyone to say it's not, because it's literally the 5 elements of hip hop are sitting right here in this picture, you know? And I love that they're all there, you know, that everything is represented, you know. And
I like how they have the fans all the way to the back, and if you look at it, it kind of looks like the sun.
Yeah.
And then the brick and the wood, like that takes it back to the 90s, and you have crates in the back.
Yeah.
You don't have like
no Serato.
Nah, there's no Serato, bro. There's none of that.
You know? And
you have the crates. Just like people forget that, you know, I won't go too far, because I'll be honest. I don't know as much of hip hop as I should, or people expect me to, and I'm very upfront about that, because when I've gotten into it, and people are like, well, you really don't know X, Y, and Z. No, I don't. Like, I don't. Like,
I say I did.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But Tupac did, you know, under Digital Underground, and he was carrying a lot of crates. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's where he came from.
That's where he came from.
But I love this picture, man. This picture is great.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan too, man. I think if they had to name this picture or this painting, I would say they'd probably call it hip hop.
That's cool.
It's breakdancing, rapping, you know, DJing, graffiti, you know, and culture, man. That's what it is.
What is what's one of your most favorite parts of interviewing somebody?
Favorite parts? Well, I think if you go back to Voice of the Valley, right? Because that's the segment on FinallyTV where I do interview, and if anybody wants to catch that, it's FinallyTV. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, but Voice of the Valley on there. One of my favorite questions on it is to ask the interviewee, you know, tell me about the first time you felt like a star, you know? And I think all of us have a moment where we kind of felt a little famous, or you felt like special, you know? And I love asking that question because it always brings a smile to the person's face, you know? And it's endearing to me. I love it, you know, and I love bringing that out of people. You know, I want people to leave my interviews going, damn, you know, Gabe's mad cool, man. I had a great conversation with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you do that just by, you know, bringing up good times and you know, championing what they're trying to do and really speaking to it and putting a spotlight on them. So, but I think that's one of my favorite questions on there is, you know, tell me about the first time you felt like a star. I also like, and this is a more recent one, I like to ask these artists, like, when they have names that aren't their government names, I like to ask them, what's the origin here? Kind of like what you did with FinallyTV. Like, I want to know why did you call yourself this? You know what I mean?
Right.
I always think that's a cool question too.
It is. You get inside the mind of the person, and that's the whole point of the interview, is to get inside the mind of a person and understand exactly who they are, opposed to, like, there's been a couple where I've had people sit in front of me and just lie about things. But and that's gonna happen. Yeah. But there's ways to weed it out, and I found out the ways to weed it out. So I mean, like, before getting on my show, usually I didn't have to do it with you, because we met at the hip hop thing over in Poughkeepsie, right? When we contacted before that. Yep. There's 20 questions that you gotta fill out and send back to me before you get on my show. And I've had people just hit me up in my inbox, which I don't care. I'll get along with anybody. Right. But if you hit me up in the inbox and say, "Yo, let me get on your show," the answer's probably going to be no. Like, to be honest with you, because A, who are you? Right. B, what are you bringing to the show? Like, I mean, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions, you know what I mean? And we vibed really good, so I didn't have to send you that. All those questions were basically answered when we talked, you know what I'm saying? So, and then, some people, I've gotten scoffed at times where, people are like, "Oh, it costs money to get on your show?" Right. How do you think I pay monthly for lip sync and all this other stuff? Like, it's got to get done somehow, you know what I mean? And I pay for me to travel to Tennessee, to Florida, to the West Coast. I got other things set up in Utah, Colorado, and LA. Like, it's rough, but it comes out of my pocket. Right. People don't think about this. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult.
Oh, they think editing takes 2 minutes too.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing. Yeah. And, so, no, I get it. I've had that too. I've had people do an interview. They did an interview on 96.1 local radio here, right? So this mom manager, I don't know if you've run into these mom managers before, but I ran into a mom manager.
Not yet, but I'm about to take notes right now, bro.
So a mom manager hits me up, and she's like, "Hey, my daughter's this and that, and, she's singing. She'd love to get on your show, love what you're doing." So, "Oh, that's great, it's awesome." At the time, it was $50. You can PayPal me, you can Cash App me, you can bring it with you the day of, whatever you want to do. Just let me know what date you want, right? And I'll let you know if it works for me. She got back to me and said, my daughter had, and I'm talking like this because this is the way I read it.
I love this, by the way.
My daughter was just on 96.1, and they did it for free. So I don't see why we would go to your show and pay for it.
The glory.
Yeah. So to which I said, "Hey, all the best." You know what I mean? I did throw one dig in there, and I said, "I didn't catch that interview." You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But
no, I got
it. Hit me up. Hit me up when you're ready. Yeah. That's all I told him. Hit me up when you're ready, because you're just not ready right now. Because if the $50 is deterring you right now, then you have done none of this before, and you have no idea that, like, you're not going to Sirius XM, you're not going to Hot 97, you're not going to KO104 for free. It's not happening. Yeah. You're either gonna pay for that, or there's something going on bigger than you that you're a part of, that they brought you on there for free for, that's been paid for by somebody else. You just didn't realize.
There's always something.
Somebody's paying for that appearance. Yep. You know what I mean? So for her to do that, it just showed me, like, you guys are just way too early in the stages anyway. You know what I mean? Like, you got your little bit of fame on Instagram, you know what I mean? And, when
that would have been the question, actually, right there. Yeah. Your first fame. Like, when they...
You know what I mean?
They would have glowed.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, that's... I haven't been through that yet. Yeah. I've had people that have wanted to get on, and I sent them... I said, let me get your email, and I would send them the requirements that I need, you know what I mean? Because I'm not going to look like an ass on my own podcast, right, you know? And in the early stages, I've actually had people who... like you said, do your due diligence, you know what I mean? And I didn't at that time because I was still new. I had a lot to learn.
Right, yeah. And there's a lot to learn.
Yeah, and, I was carrying this story. That's when I realized I needed to get a questionnaire. And I realized I couldn't put it up. And he was like, yeah, that doesn't sound right, man. And I was like, nah, it doesn't. I said, to be honest, I said, I'm not, not trying to put any blame on you because I should have been prepared. And I take a lot of fault on a lot of stuff that I do. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it's just kind of like, you didn't help with the story. Like, you can't give yes or no questions on a podcast,
Right.
And then you just have those other people that want to be on something so that they can feel good. And I think when you go on to shows that really care about their product, mm-hmm. you understand that there are deeper stories than you would ever think, and that's how you know that they have not listened to your shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the types of things that I've had on mine, I've had a woman that was, raped by her husband's brother and had 7 forced abortions. You want to get on? Because I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to have to answer them. You know what I mean? Like, she's cool about it, and she's the sweetest girl in the world. Shout out to Nazita. But she's an awesome woman right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, it's a sad story, but 3.5 hours is not all sad. 3.5 hours is her coming from another country to here, doing what she's doing, successful stories. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bad past, but that's okay.
Right.
Shit happens.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, shit happens, and some people look at me like you're just gonna say shit happens.
Right.
Yeah, because you can't go back.
Right. No, you can't.
You know.
You can't.
But then you have really happy interviews too. Like half of that interview was happy.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not gonna have somebody creep up in my inbox and be like, "Yeah, I just want on."
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Yeah. So, I think there's always room for growth for other people to understand both the business aspect of what you want to be on, and then the business people who actually are trying to understand the person across from them.
Right. It's an interesting world, the world of podcasting. Like you say, I'm learning a lot too, and the channel itself. Like, I never really thought of FinallyTV, the YouTube entity, as like a podcast. I've from the beginning, I viewed it as like a TV show. My perspective always was, this is a TV show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just haven't been syndicated yet. I just haven't been picked up by a conglomerate yet. But this is a TV show.
Absolutely.
Voice of the Valley is a TV show. That's the way I've always seen it. Fast forwarding time and doing the What We Talking About podcast, with my man Blackout. Shout out Blackout 845. That has really broadened my vision as to what FinallyTV can be, and we sit and we're talking about, podcasting, and now that I really look at it, FinallyTV, even Voice of the Valley, it's a podcast. That's what it is. It's an entity brought on by me that I produce, along with the help of my beautiful wife, It is a podcast, but something that I guess I'm building in a way that if it did grow into more of a media platform, whereas it's on like a TV type of thing, it's built for that too. It's ready for that. The foundation's there for that. Yeah. 'Cause the visuals are all there. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, I'm happy about that. But yeah, no, you're right though. With all this stuff, like I had to get people. The whole $50 thing with the interviews, and by the way, it's $75 now, right? But
so all of y'all know,
right. But the reason why I started charging for it was just exactly what you're talking about, just weeding out. I was able to weed out the people who weren't serious right off the bat without even a questionnaire. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I got them right up out of there. And it's amazing. I bet you if we were go back and go talk to those people, they're like, "Nah, I'm killing it. I'm in the studio. I'm doing this and that." And it's like, you ain't killing nothing. You know what I mean? Where's your marketing budget? You know what I mean? Where's your marketing team? Where's your marketing strategy if you don't have a team or a budget for it? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't have one. So you're not serious about what you're doing. And I was able to like weed them out just with that $50 thing. And it's like really worked out for me because I haven't run into another situation where somebody comes up here without a story, without something on the way, without something they're promoting. Everybody who's coming here has got something, you know what I mean, going on. And it's like, I like that, and I've modified it, a little bit as far as getting on the show and what it costs, because I've said now, yeah, it's $75. You want to get on the show. If you hit me up and you're an artist and I can vet out the fact that you're an artist or you're doing whatever, business owner, whatever, I can vet it out. Okay, yeah, let's set a date, $75. But if we can agree that you have a big enough following, right? Because you're doing things, it's very clear, right? Why don't you just get me 10 subscribers on my YouTube channel? You get me 10 subscribers, I'll cancel out the $75. And at first you might be like, it's really not, it's going to seem like an even wash, so they're going to take the 10 subscribers every time. But for me, it's a win-win-win. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
It's a huge win for me, because had I been doing that from the beginning, I'm over 60 interviews. I'd have over 600 subscribers right now had I done that from the beginning.
And just new ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now that's the road I'm going down. It's been working out. Shout out Spartacus. Spartacus recently was on the show, and he really took it to heart that, yo, I'm gonna get you these subscribers, you know, and he literally probably got me like 25 subscribers. And it's amazing, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I feel so silly, because like this whole time, FinallyTV's been around since March 2018. That's when the first video went up. And I've been saying, like, it's going to be really dope when I get to 1,000 subscribers and I get these 10,000 hours watched, because then FinallyTV's, the YouTube channel, actually start getting money. I could get paid for my views. You got to hit a certain plateau, though, first. So here we are, 2 years later, and I'm not there yet. I'm getting there steadily, very organically. Haven't bought one follower or subscriber for anything. Everything's very organic. But I'm at halfway at the goal right now, and I think I would have been there had I just thought to myself, like, damn, if I would have forced them, like, forget the 50, use that as like a deterrent to weed out the ones, but then once you get the real ones, get their fans. You know what I mean? Because like, I got a few every time I put out a interview on Voice of the Valley. I get 2-3 subscribers more. It's just every video a few more subscribe, more subscribe, and that's how it's been building. But had I thought about them pushing it like that from the jump, I could have been a lot further. So for everybody out there, that's your little tidbit. That's your free game today from Gabriel. Is try something like that. I think if you do something like that, you could really grow your audience. You can really grow the amount of exposure that your platform's gonna get. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there you go. There's your free game from Gabriel.
You better take it. Yeah. Actually. And the thing is with people and their fans, okay, so you have an artist, right? And then you have their fans, whether it's a hip-hop artist, whether it is an artist that draws or paints or whatever. If you have a fan base,
right,
that fan base has the mindset one way or another of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somehow, some way.
Yeah, and if you were to sit down and talk about something, I guarantee... like, just like we're talking now, I guarantee that they would have some sort of, obviously, they wouldn't agree with some things that they do, you know what I mean? Like, but they would have the mindset to sit there and be like, this is why I like this guy. I never had to actually talk to him to understand why I like his stuff, but this is why.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is going to carry over if you're interviewing somebody.
Right.
You have the same mindset as that. You have the same mindset as as his fan base too, or her fan base, in one way or another. And I think that people really look past that. Oh, this guy, he's okay. Look a little deeper.
Yeah, right.
Look a little deeper. Take a second. Don't just override the person and their show and stuff like that.
Right.
Take a second and look how much work they're putting in, because after work they're not just kicking their feet up and watching the next Netflix video.
Right. And that's part of the organic growth of FinallyTV, and I think that's why it kind of stuck, Because I tell you, man, I've had a lot of people say to me, simply just keep it up, just keep going. You know what I mean? And I'm realizing why they're saying that, because there's been a lot of, entities that have started up and then just fizzled. Didn't really pan out, got to the point where they got frustrated because nobody's watching, and it's like, I get it, and I took those words of encouragement to heart, because it happened to me too. There was a point mid-year last year where I was like, I should just shut this all down, man. You know what I mean? I put out a video. I worked on it probably like 10, 12 hours of editing on this thing. You know what I mean? Because 4K files are a mofo. I will tell you that. Not like an MP3, bro.
Dude, I can only imagine. I give anybody so much credit for just going through video and editing video.
Unreal, man. You know, but I put out a video, and here it is. Hours later, I put it out, and it's like, maybe like 12 hours later, and it had like 8 views, and I'm like, I shared this thing like 6 times, and I'm like, so every time I shared it, one person clicked. 1.25 people clicked on this thing, every time I shared it, and it's very disheartening, you know what I mean? But then going back and remembering people saying, yo, a lot of people have been doing this, but it never works out. It never works out, Oh, I remember I used to listen to this podcast, and they don't even do that no more, and and it's like, I just didn't want to be one of them. I'm so competitive at heart. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, man. I played football today, man. I'm with you.
I am a competitive person at heart. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, man. Like, I got to keep going. So
yeah. And the one thing that instilled in my mind, because the type of person that I am is, and this is before cell phones. I've always been the person. 0 or 100. That's my personality. It's either I quit drinking doing that because I used to drink a lot. It was 0 or 100. I drank to get drunk.
Yeah.
And that was my personality with everything.
Sure.
So when I put something out and I noticed, I was like, I really only have 4 people listening.
Right.
Like, that's it.
Right.
So somebody had told me, an older guy. He said, look, okay, you got 4, right? Next podcast. Look for 5.
Right.
And I'm like, 5? Like, he's like, it's more than 4.
Yeah.
He's like, and keep doing that, man. And if you notice that it doesn't go up the next time, find a way to make it go up.
Right.
Think about what the other side is thinking. The listeners, what are they thinking? What do they want?
Right.
Look at other strategies of who is making big things and take small stuff from them.
Right.
Don't mimic them, but find out what they're doing.
Sure.
And it was game changer, man. Absolute game changer.
Yeah.
And people want to feel good. Make those, like, if you're listening to this now and you are doing a podcast, make sure that your listener feels good after the show. Make them fucking feel good. That's what they want. They watch it to make sure that they feel good, like, at the end of everything.
Or that and there's somebody out there that relates to them.
Yeah. Relating is huge.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because, if you can recognize something about yourself in something else, you're more than likely going to be tuned in and, a little bit more attentive to what's going on with that particular entity.
Right. Yeah.
Because, it's like we all want to be heard somehow, some way. So one way you could be heard is if you're listening to a podcast and say there's 2 people on it, 3 people on it, and the topic comes up, you're going to bob your head and agree with the person that thinks the way you think when they say it. If you never hear your opinion and you feel like your opinion was the outlier and they didn't even bring up your opinion, are you really going to listen to them again?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like nobody thinks like you, and so at that point they might just be, it's just stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that was dumb. Because whatever we don't like is dumb, right?
Humility is an amazing thing, man. Let me tell you, when you actually start to understand the other side of stuff that you didn't know, like I said, I am extremely naive to things, and I let you know.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know about that. Yo, tell me more. Because I'm about to leave with a gem of information right now, and if I don't remember it, I'm gonna hit you up. Yo, what did you say before?
Right.
Because I'm intrigued now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Where can I look for more info?
Hell yeah. Because we only have one life and one race, and that's a human race. Do people realize that they walk by people all the time that they'll probably never see again? And you had the chance to interact, but you never did.
Right. And it's even crazier when you think about the number of times and you might do this too, I think we're all guilty of it. How many times you walk by somebody that you're friends with on social media and never even...
It's just a number.
Bat an eye or acknowledge their existence or anything, you know, because like it's happening to me, right? Like my Facebook was a small little 295 friend little thing, you know what I mean? And it was just me, it was Gabriel, and you know, if I saw one of those 295 out there, I probably would recognize them, you know, whether I wanted to say hi or not, you know, that's a different story, but I would at least recognize, like, oh, that's Sam over there, you know what I mean? Now, you know, it's blown up, and like, I'm getting all these friend requests, and I'm hitting accept because I'm just not that type of dude. I'm, you know, like, okay, you want to connect with me, let's connect. I'm all about networking, right? So I can't, if I don't accept your friend request, then what am I doing? You know what I mean? So I'm accepting them all. But let me tell you, man, it's happened to me a couple of times where I'm out in the world and like people comes like, oh, you know, I saw your thing on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, on FinallyTV, and they're like, nah, the thing with your dog, and then I'm like, wait, that's Gabe, like that's my oh, okay, yeah, what's up, man? Like, you know, like I don't even know you, you know, but it's like, so it's happening to me now. But to your point, you know, we definitely just walk by, and you're right, some people we may never see again, or the next time you see me on social media, and it won't even click that, oh shit, I was just in the mall. I just passed that person. You know, like they look familiar, you know. But no, I get it.
No, that's and it's crazy too, because I actually, for the first time today, I saw one of your things popped up for you.
Right.
I have FinallyTV.
Yeah.
I finally saw. I finally saw you today, and I was just like, oh. He's a real person. It's not just a show.
Right.
Shit, you know, like, but I actually didn't. I don't even know if I started following it yet or anything like that. But I was like, you know what? I'm glad that you have one and the other, because to me, I can actually see your separate life and your business.
Yeah. I did that on purpose, especially on Instagram, because Instagram, you know. So FinallyTV, Instagram was birthed with FinallyTV. I always had, you know, the real MC Gabriel, you know what I mean? Because that's what I do. I event host the real MC Gabriel, and that's why I'm on Instagram. So when FinallyTV came along, you know, I had MC Gabriel so nice, you know, and I had this great community of people and followers and people I was following back, and it dawned on me a couple different times, like, man, to really jumpstart FinallyTV, all I gotta do is just switch the name. You know, I could just change the real MC Gabriel to the FinallyTV. I inherit all those followers, and I'm good. You know. Then I was like, but then I'm mixing it up. You know what I mean? I got, you know. And I was like, let me at least here. Let me do that. You know what I mean? So I was able to just had two. I just created FinallyTV on its own. I was like, you know what? Also creating it brand new like that. It also allowed me to like kind of organically connect with everybody that is following it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I could really gauge like who's here for FinallyTV and who's here for me. You know what I mean? Like, because from a business standpoint, you know, I want everything to be FinallyTV. The man behind it, the people behind it is just a whole nother thing. But just latch on to the entity of FinallyTV. That's really what I want. You know, from a business standpoint, I want everybody to know about FinallyTV. I can care less if they know about Gabriel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I want them to know what the FinallyTV logo is. You know what I mean?
You got my attention.
You
definitely got my attention, bro.
You know, shout out to Sean Donovan. He's the one that drew that up for me. He's a great artist, local artist, Sean Donovan. He's like a, how do you explain him? He's got this perspective on space, man. You know, and a lot of his paintings have to do with space and craziness. So look up Sean Donovan. He's a cool dude, but he's the one that did my logo, by the way.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna come back to a different world of interviing real quick. All right?
Yeah, no, let's go. I can go off on tangents.
Cool. No. The tangents are good. I love tangents. You know why? Because it keeps because I believe that the listeners talk about things in their head as they're listening.
Right.
But if we don't say it, then it doesn't get spoken.
Right. Let's talk about it.
So it's like I'm very happy that people actually they tell me, they're like, oh, I wish you would have talked a little bit more about this. They tell me all the time. So I'm like, you know what? Noted. You know, I was like, I got you. And because you are the listener.
Right.
You know, who am I at that point? You know, so
I get it.
I tagged you in something, not sure if you saw it yet.
I did.
Chris Voss?
Chris Voss.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am going to be signing up for that class.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Gotcha.
because I think it is extremely important. I listened to two of his interviews, one on the Tim Ferriss podcast and the other one on Big Questions with Cal Fussman. Both extremely in detailed conversations. And
that's the negotiator guy, right?
Yeah. So this guy was an FBI negotiator, and it's just like listening to all of his stories and different things that he had.
Yeah.
He has an interviewing class, so if we can break down some interviewing things that you've learned and some interviewing things that I've learned to get stories out of people and such like that. What do you feel is the easiest way to get a story out of somebody that you've worked on, or perhaps something that you're working on, to progress?
I think if you get people talking about what they're passionate about, off the bat, I think, you could just let it breathe on its own. You just kind of prod it along, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I mean? So before you actually sit down and hit record on whatever device, audio, video, whatever it is, have that 10, 15 minute face-to-face conversation, figure out, like, is this person even in a good mood? Like, you know what I mean? So you know what angle to come from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that if you want to learn about somebody, one of the things you should do is ask them, why are you here?
But it's a simple question.
Yeah.
It really is.
Like, why are you here? And once you get the why on that question, then you'll be able to kind of pull out of them, what you're looking for, right? Because like you said before, the interview, the purpose of it is to give a little insight to the person behind what they're doing, right? Whether it's music, a business, or whatever. If you can just get to the person behind it so that they can endear themselves to an audience, and maybe, if they're lucky enough, they pick up a few new fans or a few new listeners or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So I think that part of it is probably important. So one, care about what you're doing, right? I want to hear the stories and stuff, like I want to hear all that. But really try to find out why they're there, what their passion is, and then just speak to that. My questions for Voice of the Valley, they're predetermined. You know what I mean? But they're so open-ended that I can take the conversation anywhere I want with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you said, there's no yes or no questions that I ask. It's the same 9 questions every time. But some of my interviews are 18 minutes and some of my interviews are 58 minutes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, I get it.
But it's the same 9 questions. I never really veer off it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's rare where I veer off my cue card. It's just that I know where I want to take this conversation. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I know what the purpose of the conversation is, So most of my conversations, the purpose behind it is promotion. It's usually, let's promote this person. I'm spotlighting you. You know what I mean? I want people to know why it was important that I took the time out of my day today to interview this person. Right. And then several days later of hours of editing, using up my power, using up my internet, not being able to play PlayStation and whoop somebody in Madden online. Damn. Because I got something uploading and I don't want to interrupt that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Why did I do all that? And so I think that's a really important part is to be passionate about it yourself and wanting the story, but then find out what they're passionate about and what's really making them tick, because inevitably when they tell their story, there's going to be one person. It doesn't matter how big the audience is, whether it's 6 or 600. There's going to be one person listening to that that's going to go, yep, agree with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, I hear that. I've been through that. You know what I mean? They're going to be able to relate to you. And here we go back to being able to relate. So once they find a relatable medium, they're a lot more likely to become a fan.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you started with passion, because the one question that I usually ask, it all depends on how the conversation goes, because sometimes you don't need to ask whatever questions you had on your cue card if the conversation rolls, right? It makes it so much easier, or they'll answer it because the conversation is going so good and you didn't have to ask it.
It's happened.
Yeah. And those are the best ones, to be honest with you. But passion, that's why I started with childhood with you. And I asked you, what did you want to be when you were young, and you wanted to be a veterinarian. So now I know that you have a passion for animals. You know what I mean? In one way or another. It may not be what you're doing now, but there's a passion for animals. And we went down that channel. We went down that quote unquote, no pun intended, rabbit hole, right? So it's like, now I know a little bit more about Gabriel. That is like, all right, cool. So now he used to spit. He likes animals. You know what I mean? He's into hip hop, and he can control. Like, I know 4 or 5 things about you that are 5 key points. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I can run with that. One other thing that I would say is very important is vulnerability. If I'm vulnerable with you, which I have, I'm on here saying I'm naive to this. I don't know about hip hop. I don't know. Like, you're gonna be like, oh shit. Like, all right, I feel better enough to say not some stupid shit, but things that. You know what? He's being vulnerable. I can be vulnerable too. It's cool. I can open up a little bit more now.
Of course, yeah. No, if you see somebody, with their guard up when you walk by them, you're gonna tend to clench up a little bit when you walk by them, right?
Yeah.
Even with no intention to hit them, just clenching up.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you clenching up?
Yeah.
Same thing with the spoken word. You know what I mean? Because if it's about endearing yourself to the crowd too, and the audience, and your participant in the conversation, right? If you endear yourself to me, and you're doing that whether you realize it or not by telling me where you're vulnerable, you're kind of endearing yourself. You're showing, hey, it's okay if you don't know something, just say it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't have to feel like I know everything. You know what I'm saying? And I can just say, I don't know nothing about that. Just like before when I'm saying, hey, I'm no better than you guys. I just had grilled chicken before. Yeah. I know I was talking shit about poultry, but I'm just telling you. It's just, because we're all human, and our thoughts can be sporadic, and that's where it goes, right? So. But not to get off topic.
No, and that's the thing with that though. Everybody want to be the first person to call somebody out for a dramatic session. You know what I mean? That's just the way this reality of the world is now. But going back to what you said about a minute ago, when you said you walk by somebody and they're just kind of pulled back, you're gonna feel the same thing. Now, I'm going to enter, that's a great segue for mirroring. So there's a thing called mirroring, which is 2 different ways that you can, you can do it with body language or you can do it with words. So mirroring, I'm about to help a lot of daters out there right now, okay? This shit's about to get real.
All the single heads?
Yeah, all the single heads is about to go down. If you're talking, I'll start with the guys because I'm a guy, okay?
Sure.
Lady's gonna be like, I'm never gonna do that shit again. Okay? If you're talking to a girl and she could be very into the conversation, right? If she starts playing with her hair, or if you're talking and you start to lean to one side and she starts to lean to one side, that's called mirroring. That's knowing that they are into the conversation. And guys, you do it too. Don't think you don't do it. You do it more than actually. I think we do it more than women do. Yeah. Because women usually have their guard up because let's face it, a lot of guys out there just guys, we need to step our games up. But if she's playing with her hair or something, she's into the conversation. She don't even know she's doing it. You know what I mean? She has no idea she's doing it. If they lean to the same side you're doing, or you won't even notice that they're mirroring. But if you pay attention to it, she's engaged or he's engaged. The intriguing part of your brain is saying, okay, I like what they're talking about. I enjoy what they're talking about. If I see that happen during a podcast, now my podcast is all audio, but if I see that, I'm in the right direction now. Cool. Awesome. I'm going to keep this up and I'm going to have more intriguing questions for them that I want to know so that they still want to answer them. And that can happen on so many different levels. That's called mirroring. There's also, I think there's another one called shadowing. It's pretty much the same thing, mirror and shadowing. But mirroring with words is, say, if I'm talking, right, and I say, if I'm talking about a story, and I'm talking about this mic, right? So I'm saying, it has a really good handle, and you know what I mean? The mic is, it's one of those really good Shure mics, right? And then I'm in depth in this conversation. I said, I really like this windscreen. This windscreen actually has worked so many times for me. And you're like, so many times, right? So when you say so many times, you are engaging in the conversation. You're letting me know that I am on something good. You are engaged. but it's also a way to pull more out of somebody.
Yeah.
So if you say, yeah, it's a great mic, right? And I just said it was a great mic,
Right.
I'm going to want to say more about this mic right here because you are telling me that you're into it. So now I want to have more of a conversation. That goes with everything.
Yeah.
You know? And I think people just, because they're on their phone so much, they don't understand the body language of people across from them. They don't understand the body language when they have a conversation and what people are really trying to say to them, because maybe they've been on their phone for so long that social skills are at probably their all-time low, I would say.
Yeah, I just think generally, people in general, their social skills are just getting, worse and worse and worse. And I really do think people like Gary Vee, you familiar with him? Right?
Oh man, it's the fucking man.
Yeah,
Like,
shout out to Big Veg who just got a photo op with him. So I'm sure,
did he?
I'm sure he dropped some. I'm sure he dropped some gems to Big Veg. But shout out Rock Runner Press, man. He's the man. That's why people like Gary Vee have millions of followers now, is because he's not socially awkward. He's able to talk to you no matter who you are, and he's just willing to put it on a grand scale, and that's how he is who he is now. You know, it's because it's amazing, and it's gonna be crazy to say, but it's because he's doing something that a lot of people marvel at. How does he just say what he wants to say? Like, how does he talk to who he just wants to talk to? How does he do that? It's amazing. Yeah. And they follow him and they like his posts, but those same people, like, they can't talk to people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so.
Well, so this is a perfect opportunity to actually segue into that. So all right. The other day, I was talking to somebody, right, and we were having a discussion, and we were sitting there, we were just talking for a little bit, and we got into the conversation of depression and anxiety, which is huge, right? I mean, let's face it, and I just released something on Instagram today. I try to put like small little snippets every single day to make somebody feel good on the inside, or ways to fix your life. That simple things like changing your music, to happier music or better music can,
changing your diet.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so we got into a thing, and she had said that she had really high anxiety, and I said, okay. I said, and going exactly to what Gary Vee does, he just says what he wants, but he's very honest and he's very upfront about what he asks.
Right there, yeah.
So I was blessed. God had blessed me with understanding the almost like the inner person, And throughout the past year, I have listened to a bunch of different podcasts to where I understand a lot of the roots of problems of people. And so she had said that she goes through this whole thing with anxiety and everything. I said, okay. I said, I'm going to ask you a question, and don't take offense to it. I said, but I'm going to ask you a question. I want an honest answer. She says, okay. I said, direct honesty though. And she's like, you got it. Cool. I said, when you were growing up in your household as a child, did you have a comfortable life? Did you ever have to, miss a day of food? Did you ever have to, did you have to struggle? She says, no. I said, okay. I'm going to break this down for you. I said, because this is everything, whether anybody knows it or not, 95% of your problems stem from childhood. And I said, so you never had to struggle for anything. I said, what about when you were growing up, you got married, everything was good? She's like, yeah, everything was great, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You create your own problems because you never actually struggled. And she's like, wait, say that again? I said, the small problems in your life, you have made
huge.
Big problem. Yeah, exactly. Huge. Because you've never actually had a big problem in your life, in your childhood.
Correct.
So those small issues, you made anxiety. When in reality, some people don't have a pot to piss in. They are struggling to get their next meal. And what you worry about is not even a fathom in their mind.
Right.
It's not even there.
Right.
Because they actually have the big problems to work with.
It'll be a luxury to feel the way he feels about the little shit.
Yeah. And I believe, and this is my opinion, and this is why, people say, you know what, you're wrong, or you're this, you're that. That's okay. That's okay. That's your opinion. This is just mine. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying I'm right. But my opinion is that most of anxiety is caused by whatever trauma you had or certain things that you just allow in your brain. If you would put your cell phones down for a full day, you'd go fucking nuts. But at the same end, I bet you wouldn't have any more anxiety because you have a sunset to look at, a sunrise to look at, the leaves that are like gratitude and appreciation go so long.
Oh yeah, no question. The that sort of stuff, man, is it takes understanding with that stuff, right? And it takes perspective, and I think that's why a lot of podcasts and certain people do get popular, is because people will gravitate towards getting those lessons without having to go through it, so to speak, to get a little knowledge, but I think that's why we've definitely have gravitated toward, what am I going to listen to now? And I think people like me and you who are doing stuff like this, why we get valued and we do get views now, because people can relate. 1, 2, they want some information that maybe is not coming from their direct peers.
Yeah.
Right? So when going back to depression and anxiety, sometimes it's easier to cope with everything you're dealing with if you know other people are dealing with it too. It's just weird like that.
Misery likes company.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want it to dumb it down like that.
But it's that simple though. It's that simple. If I know that, and I'm not saying me personally, but I'm saying if I know that person A is dealing with, a sick grandmother, and it's really causing a little extra stress in their lives, and it's taking away time to do the things that they really like their hobbies and stuff, and I'm going through that too.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better about my situation, knowing that, all right, I'm not the only one,
Hell yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes me more normal, you know what I mean? And I think people look for that normalcy a lot,
Search for it.
Yeah, and they'll find it, whether it's fake or real. They'll find normalcy somewhere.
Absolutely.
And I think when it goes back to depression and anxiety, I just think that if those people, and I've suffered from very serious bouts of depression before, and the way I deal with it though is so different than the way other people deal with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? The way I cope, I call it coping, right? So the way I cope with it is very different than other people. Doesn't make me any less of a person. Doesn't make me any better than anybody. It just makes me different, right?
Yeah.
Which is okay. Because, like I just said, there's somebody else out there going, I don't know what he exactly means, but yeah, I'm different too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could sit in a box with this guy for a little while.
You're going back to being relatable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything comes back to relatable,
Being
vulnerable,
relatable.
and yeah.
And not for nothing, when we talk about things like this, I think this world has become very reliant on pills and medication. And it's become a very serious problem in our world. And I think that, there's so much money being made off of this stuff and medicating people that it's not going to stop anytime soon.
No.
So it takes, somebody to educate the people and let them know that, when you're dealing with depression, anxiety, listen to the words I'm saying. Other people are dealing with it too.
Yeah.
And if you're on pills right now, I'm going to tell you, 9 out of 10 of you don't need them. You're just relying on them. You just think it works.
And somebody on the back end is getting all that money.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not even be from your pocket. It might be from your insurance.
Right.
But that is what they say, beyond $1 billion industry, right?
Oh, it's like trillions.
It's just...
the world today is so crazy, man, when it comes to healthcare that, I just want, if anybody ever could just say it, and I'll feel better knowing that at least I said it to someone that might be listening to this. You don't need all them pills, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really don't. You just need to talk. Just talk it out. There's people who have dealt with what you dealt with. Like you said before, bro. You talk to a girl who got raped by her husband's brother so many times that she had to get how many abortions? You know what I'm saying? Like, now tell me what you're worried about today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
let me put you in check real quick.
Yeah. You know, tell me about what, there's always a story that's a little worse than yours. So, just talk to people, open up to people. Shit, you could reach out to me. I'll have a conversation with a stranger for hours. You know what I mean?
Done it, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, reach out, man. Somebody will listen to you. Just gotta. It's not that nobody cares. It's not that nobody's listening. It's that you're not talking about it. Most of the time, that's what it is. It's not being talked about.
And if it's not being talked about, it's because you're afraid to step out of your comfort zone.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're not bringing it up, so it's not going to get talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd be hard pressed to think that, say not all of us have a bunch of friends, but I don't have a bunch of friends, I got maybe 2 or 3 real friends in my life, you know what I'm saying?
Shitload of acquaintances.
Oh man,
yeah,
I got so many acquaintances. It's not even. If I'm the acquaintance king, you know what I mean. But I guarantee you, if you go to your small circle of people and just blurt out the things that you're really anxious or depressed about, one of your friends in that circle is going to be able to just sit down with you and help you, like just talk it out. There's so much therapy in just talking it out. I think people undermine the power of that, like just saying it. Because, and I say this all the time, and it is a great point to say, a lot of the things that you have in your head, like built out, you have this whole world in your head built out. If you were to start explaining this so-called world out loud, before you got 3 or 4 sentences in, you'd realize that it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
But while you weren't saying it, you wholeheartedly believed it.
Yeah.
Until you actually voiced it, then you were like, that sounds stupid. Like, that does not sound right.
well, the crazy thing is this, too. Even if something sounds stupid, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and sometimes we say a lot of shit that's just straight up dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, my whole thing is shout outs to my friend Diana, she's a fucking gem, man. She's cool as fuck. We came up with this thing, and I said, look, and I don't care how this sounds, because I'm just like, I'm not politically correct, and that's just the way it is. But I say all the time, I was like, yo, girls are retarded, but guys are stupid.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. People are just like, did you just say retarded? I'm like, yo, think about what I just said for a second, though. Like, because it is what it is. We don't think about the things that we say, or we act too much like a girl instead of a human being, or we act too much like a guy instead of a human being. Yeah.
And
we get caught up in that.
Yeah, no, you definitely do. And I really do believe in the power of words. I actually did a podcast recently. Shout out to Grills and Monster. It's called Why Is Conspiracy? It was a pretty cool little show we did. And, Grills had a bunch of cool things to say. And he was saying how, words can be like a spell, and then you start breaking it down. You're like, words, spell, you know what I'm saying? And you start putting it all together.
Spelling bee.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so, you can manifest your own actual reality into what you want it to be just by, the phrase speak it into existence. That's a really powerful phrase. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people who believe that understand what I'm saying. For everybody else who's looking at me going, what? You just don't understand what I mean. What I mean is, if you actually say something out loud, you are literally putting it out into the universe. Those words are going to resonate way beyond the milliseconds it took to speak them. You know what I mean? They're going to resonate in minds. They're going to resonate in energy, that's actually going to manifest into your reality.
Right.
So let's start talking good about ourselves. Let's start talking good about the world. Let's stop complaining. Let's start realizing the good, Let's stop saying, how XYZ is such a bad da-da-da-da-da. And let's talk about well, why are they doing that?
We can ask questions here.
Let's get into behind that. So I just wanted to say that for all those out there that might be dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression and stuff, just before you take those next pills, before you go run into doctors and all that, why don't you just pick a couple of your closest people and just talk about it?
Yeah.
I doubt you have. I really, and you know what? If you're listening to this right now and you're going, well, I talk to Lisa all the time and she knows exactly how I feel, then I don't want Lisa.
Apparently Lisa ain't working.
Right. And that's true. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, and not that Lisa she might be a great person, but she might not be the sounding board that you need. Mm-hmm. I want you to go and tell the person that that in your head you're going, I would never talk to this person about this. You know why you're not going to talk to them about it? Because they're probably going to give you the real.
Yeah.
And you not ready for that.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
There's been time I did that. Yeah. I've done that in my past. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to them about it. And it's just kind of like, because I was scared.
Yeah, you're scared.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, until you realize that, you're probably not going to grow too much, because Lisa is going to keep you where you're at. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And Lisa's a great person, and she's going to be there for you, and she's going to call you, and she's going to text you all day, and she's going to come over with that wine or that L later, and you know what I mean? And everything's going to be gravy, but you got to realize you're going to be doing this for eternity with Lisa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if Lisa happens to be your significant other, that I'm talking about, I'm not telling you to break up with your partner.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you to seek another person, another ball of energy to be your sounding board, because maybe they'll say something to you that will help you grow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you also have these, pills are a Band-Aid. Weed is a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a Band-Aid. Yeah. It's all a Band-Aid until the next morning when you get those rushes of all the darkness coming right back inside your brain.
Yeah.
And you don't know. Even exercise is a fucking Band-Aid. Yeah. Like, I see I have met some of the most jacked and in shape people, and they are fucked mentally.
Yeah.
They are fucked mentally.
And that's why they're so laser focused on working out.
Yeah, they're trying to run.
They're running from something, literally.
Yeah. I encourage everybody, and I actually, I've gotten calls at 2:30 in the morning, dude. I don't know what to do. I'm about to just do it, and I'm like, yo, hold on, I'll be there, and like, give me 20, like I'll fucking go 90 down the road just to make sure that you're fucking still here tomorrow.
Right.
Like,
let's talk about it. Hold on.
Yeah, and it's just it's not as bad as you really think it is.
Right.
Nothing is really physically hurting you. Actually, I think the real thing is that it does hurt on the inside. There's a lot of stuff that makes you hurt on the inside. That's what depression is. It hurts you on the fucking inside. You have that darkness that just sticks. That fog that is so fucking thick. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, like, I get passionate about this because I know people who have gone through this shit, you know?
Sure.
And it's like, I've been through it. I understand it. And it's like, I need you to communicate with me. Like, I'm gonna be vulnerable as vulnerable can be, but I need you to talk to me. And even if it's the worst shit that you've ever had inside your mind about killing yourself, doing X, Y, and Z, I need you to tell me what it is that you're thinking about doing, what got you to this place, where did you start actually feeling this way? Like, break this down, write out on a piece of paper.
And not even for you, not even for the person asking those questions to know. It's really so they voice it so they know.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't hear it.
They don't even know. They have no idea. Like, because they're stuck on either the one memory or not even the reason why they feel that way. They've completely lost track of why.
Yeah.
Why is years away, you know what I mean?
Right. And that's the tough part.
Yeah, and then some people actually, even with, like, sometimes it's marriages that really, I've had somebody tell me, I just wanted to get fixed now, dude. I said, look, it's not going to get fixed now because it took so long to sabotage it that it's going to take so long to put it back together.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you sabotaged it, not him or her themselves, but it takes two to tango no matter what.
Yeah.
That means if you're sabotaging a marriage, it's because she did X or he did X and then they did Y. You know what I mean? And
the
it's
reaction.
yeah, and it's Yeah, so it's like it is very important, like you said, to discuss these things.
Yeah.
You know,
I think so.
maybe with somebody other than Lisa.
Right.
I mean,
somebody
you know,
other than Lisa. Lisa can be a pain.
I bet you Lisa's a ball of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Most Lisas are, man.
Are they?
You know, most Lisas are balls of fun. But you know, to what we're saying is, you know, basically, you know, speak your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, realize that, and it's hard to say, man, because some people are really dealing with some really extreme situations. But even you guys, it's not as bad as you think, though. You know what I mean? It's really not.
That circle is right there, and you just take yourself out of it for a second, and look into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had to do that a couple times.
Yeah, no, we all do, man. I'm so far from from being what do you call that? Excluded from this conversation. I am so in this conversation.
I'm in it, bro. I'm in it, bro.
Like, you know, I'm right in that pool with everybody else. It's just that, you know, I've been around the block a few times now. I'm fortunate enough to celebrate my 44th birthday on this past Thursday. You know what I mean?
Congrats, man.
Thanks, man. You know,
that's awesome.
So, you know, I'm just a little bit more seasoned, if you will, now, and I
like the way you put that. You know, okay, cool.
And
Adobe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Adobo.
Yeah. I fucked up.
Right.
The white guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
But you know, just being able to take that step back every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, and just reflect a little bit and just, you know, really put it in perspective when you do get low. And when I say you, I mean me. I'm talking about me. You know, when I get low. You know, being able to like compartmentalize everything that's happening and put myself outside of it and look at it and say, okay, systematically, if I needed to solve everything going on right there, what would I need to do? Does money solve this situation? Part of it. Okay, so why do I feel like such a loser for the job I have because I'm not able to fix these problems with the job I have? You know? I'm not a loser because I just told you I have a job. Okay, so I got a job, right?
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of money to put towards that. Maybe little by little, but I could get it. You know what I mean? Okay, I'm fighting with so-and-so because, you know, they put out a video before I wanted them to. Can we talk about that? Is it really that important? What really happened? Did the video matter? You know what I mean? Like, somehow I've arrived at a spot where I can do that. You know what I mean? And I'm really proud of that, you know? I'd encourage everybody to try to get there too, because I didn't have anybody teach me that. It was just you deal with enough ups and downs, you know, and you know if you're paying attention to it all, you can learn from the mistakes that got you in the bad, you know, and you can learn from the ways that got you out that were good, and you can kind of mold that all together and deal with the next situation. Because guess what? Once you're done with this one,
it's coming.
It's like owning a house.
Yeah,
it really
is. It's a never-ending story.
It's a never-ending story, man. And I always thought that was just a big crock of shit before I got a house. You know, I was always like, you know, I would see people working on their house and they always got something like midway done. And I would always say to myself, like, man, you started that deck 2 years ago. You know, why is it not covered yet? You got no floorboard right here. Like,
you definitely didn't invite that guy over here, did you?
You know what I mean? Right. Because now I get it. It's a never-ending story.
Right.
You know, so same thing with your life and same thing with all these situations. There's always going to be something else. So until you realize that, you're going to think the world's against you. You're going to think you're always on the bottom half of everything. Yeah. You know, but a lot of times you're not. You know, you're coming from a way better starting point than other people.
You always have to work on something in your life. And that's not a bad thing. That should actually, for me, I found out that it's enjoyable because I get to fix something and see the light at the end of the tunnel of something that's like, this is what it could be.
Yeah.
Oh shit! You mean I have the opportunity to actually change that and make my life something greater than it is?
Different.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like that's cool. And guess what? Newsflash: you're gonna fall. You're gonna fail. Get the fuck back up. Brush yourself off. Do it again. And guess what? You might even fall again.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think people need to hear that.
Yeah. I love the little saying of, hey, you know, everybody falls. Just get up one more time. So meaning if you fall down 7. that means you got up 8.
Yeah.
You know, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason why it's always one more, in case you're doing the math, is because you had to get up first to get knocked down.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's always going to be one more get up. You know what I mean? But that one always kind of puts things in perspective to me too, especially, you know, going back to like the podcast and getting support from the community and, you know, it not being exactly what you thought it would be and, you know, pushing through that and going to the next video, doing the next podcast and uploading the next feature, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you can keep that perspective, I think that you'll be in a great shape no matter what you do. You know what I mean? If you can just always think about putting your best foot forward, you know, and at least doing, because I hate to say try better, doing better, right? If you feel good about your effort, then I'm happy with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think you've done what you were supposed to do. If you feel good about the effort, if you truly don't feel good about the effort you put into it, whatever it is, then I can't really rock with you right now because you don't even believe in what you're doing right now. Like you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, so how am I supposed to get behind it? You know what I mean? I can't, you know, and I can't even get inspired from you. Give me something, you know, I say every time on my on my show, don't just dream, inspire. Don't just imagine, create, and just don't believe, achieve. Like, it is the simplest thing. I stole that from a poem, you know, but those are some of the realest words, man. You know what I mean? Like,
there's always something better than what you're doing. That doesn't mean that you're going to get there right away. And it doesn't mean that you're a failure either.
No.
Like, and I think people think because they don't have a luxurious life or they don't have wealth or anything, richness is here.
Yeah.
Like richness, and that is the corniest fucking thing to say ever.
And he's pointing at his heart, y'all.
My heart is big. No, but it's true because a lot of people, I don't think people actually understand this. Okay. You get a dopamine hit when you actually give to somebody and you help somebody out. You get a dopamine rush. Your brain releases it.
Right.
And then on the same point, you get like that dopamine hit. It makes you feel fucking great. Yeah. Even when you what they said on another podcast, if you eat a berry that is in that is ripe, that is fresh, and it's ready to be, you know, picked, and you have that, your body gives you a dopamine release too, because you have just, for longevity, done something to your body that's like, yes, that's actually, I like that. That's in season, that is ready to roll,
right.
And you know what I mean?
Nice and sweet, let's go,
But the weird thing is you also get dopamine hits through drama. You get dopamine hits through crazy shit. Turn that over to goodness. You know what I mean? Turn that over to goodness and watch the people around you be like, yo, you know what? I kind of want to hang out with them again because they really gave me something to think about.
Yeah. And that's what you were saying before, like, you know, you can change up your circles too, you know, change up the people you're hanging around, you know, things like that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not. You know, one thing I'd like to discuss real quick, not even just to discuss, just to kind of advise out there, because I recently dealt with this. You know, we were talking about how the healthcare industry is like completely like screwed up, right? And it really is. Like the way it's all set up with insurance and the medical field is just, it's a broken system,
right?
You know. But one of the things, if I talk to one person out there that might be dealing with this, so you have the elderly, right? We all have our parents and grandparents, our aunts and uncles who take care of us and all that good stuff. And, you know, you might end up actually having to take care of like an elderly person that was in your life, whether they're super close to you being a parent or distant being, you know, like I said, an aunt and uncle or whatever it is, right?
Right.
I need the people out there to know something about when it comes to the elderly getting hurt. You know, you hear a lot about, old lady fell, broke her hip. Old lady fell, broke her elbow, or whatever the case is. You know, they seem to break things often when they fall because they're frail. They're older. They're not taking in the calcium the way they used to. Their bodies aren't as strong. They're not as resilient as they once were.
Right.
So when they take these falls, you know, they end up in hospitals. You know, and the point I'd like to hammer home today is know exactly where your elderly person is medically before you make decisions on surgeries. This is hitting home for me hard, you know. So my mom-in-law recently, last year, she fell, you know, at her house. She fell off of her porch, you know. So you're talking about a 3-foot drop or whatever. But she broke her arm in 2 places. She had what you call a floating elbow because it wasn't connected, right? So there's that. So, you know, we're in the hospital, you know, wife and I are in there. We're very concerned, you know, of course. And it comes to the point where the doctor comes to us and is like, hey, you know, here's your options. You're always waiting for the options at the hospital. Here's what's going to happen. Here's the diagnosis. Here's how we're going to fix this, you know. So they give you options. Right. So he comes in, he says, hey, you know, option 1 is, you know, we could just set this thing, no surgery, and how it heals, and she might not have full mobility, you know, but take our chances that way. Second one would be, you know, we could go in there, put some screws and pins into her shoulder and make it right, and it'll heal the way it should heal, you know what I mean? And she should have, you know, like 80% mobility. Or, you know, we could do a complete reverse shoulder, you know, and they're talking about a 75-year-old, 78-year-old lady, you know? So, you know, hearing that, as regular people, as I'm sure a lot of you, when you get to this position, you're going to be a normal person just like me hearing this, and you know, you're respecting these people, right? Because this is the medical field. You got a professional surgeon in front of you telling you what's going on, how to fix it. So, you know, in making that decision, you need more information than what they're giving you right there. And I wish we had known, you know, at that time, because we don't now, you know. So here's what happened. In a perfect world, that doctor, that surgeon would have went in there and said, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Rivera, here's the deal. She broke it in 2 spots, all right? She can not have surgery, let it set, or she can have surgery, and we can try to fix it almost 100%. But is she suffering from any mental illnesses, any brain situations? Does she have dementia? Is she dealing with Alzheimer's? Is she, you know, they'll always ask you, is she allergic to something, right?
Yeah.
But they're not going to say any of the things that I'm saying to you. So for anybody out there who currently or in the future, you're dealing with an elderly person who got hurt, who's in the hospital, who needs to have surgery now, you need to stop and figure out if this person is dealing with any type of mental disability as far as like dementia, Alzheimer's, and all that stuff. Because what happened to my mother-in-law, we decided to do, let's do the pins one. Let's just get it all back together. Let's not just let it haphazardly just heal.
Right.
You know, let's put it all back together, let it heal from there, let her get 80% mobility back, and, you know, she'll deal with that. So what? She's never going to pitch a baseball. We just need her to close the cupboard. You know what I mean?
Right.
That lady never saw her home again. After surgery, they don't tell you this ahead of time. They tell you while she's dealing with it after. So yeah, oh yeah. Well, anesthesia, that has a 90% chance to accelerate dementia and Alzheimer's. So if they went in on phase 1, they might be coming out in phase 3 or 4. They don't tell you that. You know, so anybody out there right now who you could share and get that information out there is that, you know, anesthesia will accelerate brain issues, you know?
That is...
You know, so think about this lady. That day that she fell, and when I say that lady, this person is near and dear to me, you know? But just for generalization, that lady, we called her that day and said, hey, Ma, get ready. Meet us outside. We're going to pick you up. We're going to get pizza at the mall. Or we're going to go to the mall and get some pizza, you know? And when we got there, who was waiting outside? She was ready, bag in hand, dressed, ready to go. Picked her up, brought her out, spent a good couple hours out with her, brought her back home. That's when she fell. Since that day, we've had to feed her. We've had to dress her. She's wearing diapers.
Right.
She hasn't left the rehab.
Yeah.
She has never seen her home again.
Because of negligence.
Negligence on the behalf of the surgeon. Wow. You know, had the surgeon said to my wife, hey, you know, she's dealing with dementia. Just want to let you know, there's a chance, because it's not 100%. Don't get me wrong, guys. That's not 100%. It's like 90 though. That the elderly dealing with that sort of disease, it will accelerate at a rapid rate after the fact.
Yeah.
And one of the hardest things you'll deal with, when it comes to dealing with your loved ones, and your family is them being physically there, but mentally just shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like feeding your chest. You give them a spoon and food in front of them. They get it maybe, or they kind of do like a phantom, they think they're doing it, and then feeding their chest.
I've seen it, yeah.
And it's like, what's going through your mind right now?
Like literally, what is like you want to know?
Yeah, like what is it? Like, do you think that you're putting that in your mouth right now? Because you're so far away from that, and it's heartbreaking. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And you try to help, and you try like to stay calm, and but it's really, really hard. So if I could help anybody with this whole podcast, I would tell you, to spread the word. It's those little tidbits of information that this world will never tell you about. You know what I mean? And it's really crazy to me that part of the questionnaire when they get surgery is, are they dealing with any type of mental disease? You know what I mean? Because dementia is widespread in this country. You know what I mean? And Alzheimer's is such a bastard of a disease, and it can rob people of just the everyday little things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that said, that's all I want to say, because we talked about a little bit about depression, anxiety, and it kind of touches on the health industry.
Absolutely, it does.
And I think that this side of it, for me, just to give a little insight as to things that I care about, and would hate, I would hate for somebody that knows me to tell me tomorrow that, hey, my mom or dad is in a worse situation because they fell and I let them have surgery and their dementia got worse. Like, that would kill me right now.
Yeah.
So as much as I, want to not have to deal with those thoughts, I also don't want another friend or loved one or fan or just person to deal with that if they didn't have to. Because the truth is, had we decided, hey, just set that thing and we're going to take her home, like I said, we don't need her to pitch a baseball. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just her left arm. She's right-handed.
Yeah.
None of that came into consideration. All they wanted to do was that surgery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Push the surgery, push 9 medications, push 3 or 4 different scans and this and that. You know what I mean? Instead of just one x-ray, figure out what we're going to do with it, set it, go home.
Yeah.
She would have went home. You know what I mean? And that's the sad part that gets me, is that this lady would have been home.
And it really does. It that hits home to, dude, just that story alone. Okay, I can almost guarantee that it's hit a lot of people listening right now, because there's probably so many lawsuits. I know a couple people through hospitals now.
Yeah.
Maybe not that exact story, but something very close.
Where negligence is playing a part.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's...
And it's rude and crude, because when it comes down to it, it's about money.
It's all it is.
You know what I mean? And I wish it was something different that you could go punch in the face, but it's not. It's just greed.
I mean, you think about it, like, I love how people, when you see them, especially like more so the newbie health nuts, right? Like they're really trying to get into stuff. Yep. Was it approved by the FDA?
Right.
Woman or man, if you already knew about the real FDA, half of the stuff that goes through the FDA and they approve it is still bad for you. Yeah. Terrible, actually, for you. And then there's a...
Let's not talk about sponsorships.
Yeah. It's just crazy. It's nuts how... Perfect example. This is a great example. This thing called OPC3. Okay. OPC is an antioxidant that is made all natural, grapeseed extract. pine bark extract. Everything is just natural, and it's in a powder. So obviously your liver and your kidneys use as filters, right? But you get 95% absorption. Now I used to sell this on was that like a multi-level marketing bit, right? But that was the only thing that actually worked in my eyes. So I continued to use it. I still use it. It's taken kids off of inhalers.
Yeah.
It has taken like regular people too. It's like, dude, my allergies are not the same. Like, it's great. And I'm like, awesome, man, cool.
Yeah.
I use it for, or not for arthritis, but I've seen people use it for arthritis. I use it for my hand. I've had surgery. I've dislocated my kneecap. I've done a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
The FDA will not approve this.
Yeah, of course not.
Like...
Well, it's probably cheap to make, too.
Yeah, and you see in private practices, you see some of them on the wall of like, we are going to sell this because it's a private practice.
Yeah.
But then again, like what they say back in the 50s, that the FDA was, they bribed or they were bribed by the sugar company to say that obesity came from fatty foods.
Right. Right.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Nobody really knows that.
Yeah.
That it's just kind of like,
it has nothing to do with the 32-ounce small, right?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. That Pepsi you drinking? Nah, I keep drinking that, man.
The small is 32 ounces.
That's...
You know what I mean? Like, in Puerto Rico, the portions, they always say the portions around the world are always very different than the States, But it's very evident in Puerto Rico. If you get a small in Puerto Rico... Because I'm thinking I'm going to get this big-ass cup, because I'm here. I go there, you get a small, it's 8-ounce cup.
Okay.
It's the kids
right.
thing, is the small there.
Right.
The large is our medium.
Really?
Yeah. Ooh, 20 ounces.
Wow.
It's like, it's portion control that's way better than what we're doing over here. We want value. We want to spend $1 and get this huge bag or this huge cup.
Right.
I'd rather spend $1 and live.
I'm on your page, bro. Because I went over to Europe when I was in Paris. The portions were different as well.
Yeah, very different.
And when I went over there, I was just like, "Oh, can I get this?" And I was like, "Okay." And I started to notice that, I was like, no wonder why we're all fucking big.
Exactly.
Like, damn, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's very evident.
And not for nothing. As much as people shit on France and French people and everything, they have a nap time.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to have a nap time.
Yeah, siesta, man.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about
it's over. It's over. I've been to Greece, and Athens shuts down at 2:00 in the afternoon.
That's beautiful.
There's nothing going on at 2:00 in the afternoon. There's what we would have as a bodega.
Mm-hmm.
They have as little kiosks every so often, and it has everything: your cigarettes, your candy, your this and that, your gum. You know what I mean? Your lighters, bro. I hope you don't want none at 2:00. You know what I mean?
You ain't gonna get it.
You're not gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you, you bang on that door because they're inside. It's not gonna be a happy ending. They're gonna come out, swearing and what the hell are you doing? Like, is it emergency? Like, sleeping in here?
Somebody dying?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's happening? So yeah, man, portion control is important. But we got a little tangent. But I just want to let everybody know about the little medical thing, man. Hopefully that could get to somebody and help them out a little bit. Do your research. Don't just haphazardly let people, the elderly especially, just don't let them get surgeries. And anesthesia truly does. It's anesthesia basically puts you one step away from dead, right?
Yeah.
And to come back from that, it takes energy from you. You know what I mean? To come back fully from that. And honestly, a lot of elderly people just don't have that energy to come back fully.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just don't have it. Some of them, some elderly people, you talk to some elderly and they're just waiting to die. So if you're just waiting to die and then I make you almost die, you know what I mean, to do something.
Yeah.
When you come back, you're not going to be the same. It's very simple science to me. You know what I mean? But
I had met a woman, I forget her name. I think her name was Joan. It was over at one of the Dunkin' Donuts, and I had gone over there originally on a date, and the one woman came over. She was like 90 something years old, or like, you know, and she comes over and she just said, "Can I touch your beard?" And I was like, I mean, you can't tell a 90-year-old woman no. Yeah, like, no, get out of my way, no. So I was like, sure, you know, and she was like, "Oh, it's a really nice beard," and blah blah blah. I was like, "Oh, thanks." Shout outs, I think it was Joan. Shout outs to Joan. Yeah. Okay? Because she sat right in. Okay? She made herself be like, yeah, this is a 3-way date.
Yeah.
And she sat right down, right? Yeah. And I was like, all right, cool. She started going off on tangents about how she used to make bullets for World War II.
Oh, wow.
Like, I didn't see this coming at all.
Yeah.
Also, shout outs to Joan because she randomly called me an asshole, which I thought was like, wait, hold on a second.
Perspective.
Yeah. And I was just like, shit, I'm leaving going back home like, maybe I am an asshole. Shit, right. I'm driving. I'm like,
think about myself.
Yeah. You know what? I'm never going back to Dunkin' Donuts again. There's some trauma for you. You know, 94-year-old woman calling you an asshole. No, but I would actually say
some dopamine.
Yeah. I actually tried to call her to get her on the podcast too. I want that story so bad. Yeah, definitely some dopamine on that one.
Yeah.
No, I actually, one things I do want to say with elderly people too is that if you see somebody on the side of the road and you can tell that they're homeless, now there's a definite significance between being homeless and then being a druggie. You know what I mean? If you see, if you see somebody that needs food, like my whole thing was always this: even if it's somebody who is addicted to drugs or addicted to, you know, pills and stuff like we were talking about, buy them food.
Right.
Don't give them the money. Right. Buy them food and you're gonna know right off the bat. And you know, I think this is important to talk about because. So people say, well, I don't know if I wanted to give them the money and blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, you know what? Take the extra 5 to 10 minutes out of your way to go actually get them something to gnaw on, something to chew on. Because if you do give it to them, they might spend it on something real stupid. But that person still needs to live. Whether they take themselves out of the game their own way, at least you know that you can give them a hot meal or you can give them a bag of peanuts. And I encourage everybody to do that because they still need to thrive because they do have an addiction to drugs or they do have an addiction to pills.
Right.
You're still giving them food.
Yeah, if you're able, you know, I say yeah. You know, like you said, though, you do have to be careful with it because I think that some people out there have learned how to manipulate others.
Absolutely.
You know, and they'll make it look like the biggest sob story. And I don't mean to be a skeptic, you know what I mean? But I'm not trying to create a bunch of skeptics. But I'm just saying that you do kind of have to watch the situation for what it is, you know, and look for the telltale signs, you know, like if you see somebody, and now this is very common around here now. It never was like this, but now it is. Have you noticed, like, at our exits off, like, the major, like, 84s and stuff, there's people now at the exit, at the stoplight, when you're going to turn on, like, if you come off of 84 to go to Beacon, you know.
You
know, there's always somebody sitting there with something. So I've gotten to, like, recognize these people along the way, right? There's one who puts on a great show, puts on these clothes, you know. He's got, in the woods, though, he's got a swing bike and, like, a triple fat goose. Like a jacket. It's cold out. He's got. It looks like a triple fat goose. So shout out to all my old heads that know what that is. But like, you know, it's a nice looking warm jacket.
Yeah.
But it's off to the side. It's like kind of in the woods, and it's on this like Schwinn bike, right? And my man's
over old school too.
And my man's over here with rags on, with his little thing talking about, you know, I'm sick. I need this money. You know what I mean? There's something not right about that situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's something not right about that situation. He's manipulating you, right? He's figured out a way to get your money out of your hands and into his in a way of deceit, right? Then you flip that around and I see the other person, right? I'm looking around. Now I'm looking around. Now I'm conscious of like what's around here. So now I'm looking in the woods over here on the side of the exit. You know, I'm looking across the street, looking around, and there's this one lady, man, You know, I see her in my face right now, you know what I mean? And I could tell that this lady is beaten, broken. Life has really messed with this lady. Right. And she's hit that point in life where she's just like, I've hit a point in my life where I need help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she's thought to herself, I'm going to help myself because nobody else is doing it for me. You know what I mean? And I respect it. And the sign doesn't say Vietnam vet or sick or I'm hungry. No, it says, I will work for food.
Survival, man.
That is a different perspective. And that is one that should be respected. And if you are able, you should be trying to help that person a little bit. You know what I mean? If you can provide a job and they could do something for you, then let them do it and pay them the way you think you should be compensating them, whether it's monetarily or with money or, with food or, you know, maybe a gift card to a Dunkin' Donut, whatever it is.
Something.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's different. You know what I mean? So just to add the skeptic side to your point, and also the endearing side, is that there are people out there that really do need your help. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
man. And it's important because people, we do get lost in our phones, and we do, you know what I mean? Like, I have noticed that so many people do not understand their surroundings, the peripheral. They do not see it, and you go right past it. But some of the new age kids, it's not many, but some of the new age kids that are coming up, they are very helpful. Yeah. And when they do notice, they do help. Yeah. And it's awesome to see that. Yeah. But I would always encourage another person to tell another two people today that, yo, yeah, like, help that person out. But it, like you said, they need awareness too, because there's some sketchy people out there.
There's sketchy people, and there's, it's, people put themselves in bad situations, and it's like totally their own fault.
Absolutely, it is,
the decisions they made.
Times I fucked up.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Maron.
It's almost like you just want to shake them.
Yeah, you want to shake them. Just don't get me dirty type shit. It's like, it's tough, man, because we all feel like we have our own struggles. Again, talking about that little circle and living in your head, right? And it is, sometimes it just feels a little extra to have to help somebody else that you don't know, or, but like you said before, helping people, giving can give you yourself a boost. You know what I mean? And I do believe in karma. You know what I mean? And if you're looking to improve your karma in any way, there's really not a better way than to, help someone or thing in need. You know what I mean? Yeah. To like what I was saying when we first started the show. If you see a dog being treated badly, fucking say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you see a dog cooped up in a car and it's hot out, report that. Yeah. If you call the cops and say, I'm in this parking lot, it's this license plate, it's 95 degrees and they got the doors closed, the dog's panting on the inside, the cops will actually go there, and that's an offense that they can actually move forward on.
Yeah.
It's animal abuse. Yeah. It's I feel it's called negligent care, something like it's not a huge thing, but it is a pain in the ass because it's a fine. Yeah. It's a citation. You know what I mean? You might get your dog taken away. They might call in the ASPCA. You know what I mean? So like, when you see stuff like that, say something. Yeah. Do something.
Because at that point, I mean, what? You're going to walk away, and within those 3 minutes, you forget that an animal also already has fur on. So it's 10 times harder for this, this dog.
And that's just a microcosm of what I'm saying. But, it's that whole adage of what they started recently. See something, do something. Yeah. Say something. You know what I mean?
And that goes with everything.
Yeah, just do better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? A lot of people got to hear that, because a lot of people don't do better, because, we do get distracted, and we're sitting there and be like, later. Be like, no, that do something needs to happen now.
Oh, yeah,
do something better now.
Yeah, do something better now.
Because it's you never know who's watching you.
Right.
And I'll tell you this, there's been so many times where I did something good, and there was a child watching. But there was always an opportunity to do something bad, and that kid could have seen me do something bad and think that it was okay.
Sure.
And I've done plenty of bad shit, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I'm no saint.
yeah. But it feels good because, like, even my nephews sometimes, they still ask me, they're like, Uncle Brian, why did you do that? And I'm like, well, because he needed it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I said, I put myself in the same shoes as the other person that I would help. Mm-hmm. And I said, if I was down, would you help me? He's like, yeah. I said, why would you help me? And he was like, well, because, I know you. Mm-hmm. I said, we don't know him, but he's still a human being.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We all need to be treated the same. I said, he could be gone tomorrow because we didn't help. Mm-hmm. I said, so it was very important to help people and be that change, you know? So it's very important.
Yeah.
And the kids are always watching.
Yeah. No, they are. They are. Everybody's watching. Everybody's watching now.
Speaking of watching,
yep.
motherfuckers better watch FinallyTV. And I think this is a perfect way to end everything, man.
Yeah, man.
Gabriel, it's been fucking awesome, man. You have a great setup. You have a great show, dude.
Thanks, man.
And
so if I could just shout everything out,
of course.
Shout out to you, the Bliss and That Show podcast. I love it.
Thanks, man.
Love what you got going on. But if you want to get down and follow that, Bliss and That Show podcast, or is it just show on Instagram?
Bliss and That Show, I should probably fucking know that, but it's podcast at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead and follow him on IG. Then you got a website set up with all your...
blissandthatshow.cool.
Yeah. I thought it was a mistype. I thought it was a typo. When I saw it, I was like, that really works, though.
Yeah. That shit is cool. Yeah, damn right it is.
So .cool, definitely.
Where can people find you, though, man?
Oh, I was going to get into that. So when it comes to branding and marketing, I'm definitely one of those people that's aware. So what did I do? Everything's the same everywhere. FinallyTV, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you type in FinallyTV, I'm the one that comes up. You'll see a pretty little logo there, something that attracted this gentleman. But it does say FinallyTV. But FinallyTV everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Every subscriber counts. The Instagram is kind of like where I'm telling you the direction of where I'm heading next and what's like current on the channel. Mm-hmm. So Instagram's a great way to interact with me. If you guys know an artist or a business owner in the 845 that needs some exposure or could benefit from some exposure, have them reach out to me. You know what I mean? Starting on Instagram's great. And I'm willing to take them all. I mean, we talked a little bit before about, being picky about what we're getting on the show, but if you truly know somebody that's doing something, send them my way. Let's work. You're going to see FinallyTV doing a bunch of cool things in the upcoming year. 2020 is the year to do better. So you're going to see me at 2 events every month. You're going to be able to catch up with me in person, chop it up. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about connecting and networking and all that good stuff. But important things to me are to subscribe on YouTube, watch videos for more than a minute, please, because one of the things that people do that drives me crazy is they tell me they watch my videos, but they watch it for 30 seconds and click it off. Not only do I not get the count for the view, but it kills my watch time. You know what I mean? My watch time is important to me.
What's watch time?
Watch time is the literal average of time people have watched a particular video. So if you watch the whole 19-minute video, one person, my average time is 19 minutes. For every person that went on there and clicked on for 30 seconds and clicked off, it doesn't count the view, but it counts the time.
That's fucked up.
Okay? And it counts the click. So it's like, okay, this got clicked on 20 times and it had, 20 minutes worth of watching. So I'm going to divide those hours, that time, that calculation. But for views, you only got 3 views.
That's crazy.
So the other 17 people clicked on it, looked at it for 30 seconds, closed it, killed my watch time average, and didn't count for a view.
Sons of bitches.
So that one hurts, y'all. You know what I mean? So at least if you want to click off, just watch the first minute 30 seconds, just to count for the view at least. You know what I mean? So that it looks a little better for me. But 845 stand up has been my mantra from the beginning. Don't just dream, inspire. Don't just imagine, create, and just don't believe, achieve. That's the way it's going down on Finally TV.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me. And, you know, like, you ever want another slot on this show?
Yeah.
We can do a round 2 all the way to round 12.
Okay,
you know,
yeah, I like it. I like it. And it was a cool conversation, man.
Absolutely,
So
man. Thank you so much, dude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Be good.